Hello, my little yarnivores and spiderettes. Fiber Spider back again with, well, a live stream, little chit chat, this, that, the other, and, who knows? Hi. Hope all of you are doing really well today. I'm doing pretty good. Kind of had a lazy start to my day. I made my coffee, and I'm keeping an eye on little Edgar Allan Doe, my sourdough starter. I took him out of the fridge last night and I gave him a good feeding, and he's bubbling away. He's doing his thing, and it's funny because I had gotten him off of Amazon. Like, I didn't make the starter myself from scratch, but I got the starter. It was about roughly a year ago. So not only did I have a birthday, but in a sense, little Edgar, he had a birthday too. He is a year old. So happy birthday, Edgar. Hello, everybody. Thank you. Hello, Diana and Carrie and Linda and Fern and Turtle Stacks. Actually, I have Turtle Stacks. I have called him Bredgar Allan Doe before. Yes, I have. Hello, Lynn and Cousins Forever and Ola Joe. Hello. Yeah, so I was thinking about maybe making some more bread this weekend using my Banneton, that really cool basket that Russ sent me. And also yesterday, he had sent me another package from Amazon as well, and it was a really cool bread knife. Yes, I didn't wait to open it up on camera. I'm like, I want to see what's inside, and it was a really cool bread knife. Yeah. Um, and hello, Ruth and Stephanie and Shannon and Roseanne and Cheryl and Judy's Creations and Crochet. Thank you. Hello, everybody. I hope all of you are doing really well. Yeah, so I'm currently making up some more starter right now, and I'm thinking maybe make another batch or two or three. Yes, Russ is like Santa Claus. Yes, he's jolly. Um, uh, and so I was thinking about making some crackers this weekend with some of the extra discard of the starter that I'm making up. And let's see, you and Edgar share a birthday, then Russ gifts you things to eat Edgar. Yeah, it's kind of a weird cannibalistic relationship. Um, oh, Tiffany, you finished a beanie. Very cool. Which design? Which pattern? Because there's so many really, really cool patterns out there. I think for simplicity, it's like either one of two that I gravitate to the most often, the basket weave and the divine. Um, hello. Wait, who was that? Who was that? That was Marie Fix. Well, hello to you in Ohio. And Carrie. And yeah, Carrie, you should totally try making sourdough, because then you don't have to buy yeast ever again. Because if you keep your starter fed, it is its own yeast and you can keep it going indefinitely. It's a fabulous thing. And Creations by Jax. Hello. Thank you. Headed out for a closing shift at Joanne. Sorry, missed you again. That's okay. That is quite all right. Yeah, I do really like the waffle stitch beanie, because it is really an easy repeat. It's got an awesome sauce texture, and unlike some patterns which definitely have it leaning more towards a more lacy, perhaps feminine look, the waffle stitch, it's totally unisex in that regard. Like, to me, even though the divine hat, it isn't lacy, the swirly sort of uh, shell texture about it. To me, what do you guys think? Do you guys think that the divine hat has a sort of feminine appeal and a feminine quality about it? Because like the waffle, to me, you could go either way on that one. What do you guys think? If you're familiar with the waffle hat, what do you guys think? Um, Thank you, Panda. Thank you. Happy post-birthday. Thank you so much. Jackie, I'm doing good. Um, it is nice and warm, Carrie. Yeah. And you're making the divine. Yeah, I mean those are great. Yes, it's the chatty chat. Working on the smocked Celtic weave blanket. It does kind of look like bread dough, S.L. Smith. It does. Nightingale, yeah. The divine hat does it to me. It has kind of like a feminine je ne sais quoi about it, you know? Hello from under the bridge. Are you a troll? You're a troll. Carson, the yarn troll. Well, welcome, Carson. Well, bridge trolls are more than welcome because I love anything, Hans Christian Andersen or Brothers Grimm. Um, it does skew to the more feminine, yeah. I mean, they are both lovely. Do not get me wrong. I do love them. I'm just scrolling through. Oh, thank you, Linda. You're awesome too. Thank you. We all try to be awesome, don't we? Working on a doll. I love amigurumi. It's been so long. Hi, Michael. Hi. Hey, Chris. Linda. Okay. Nessa. Karen. Male coworker rocks a neon pink and black waffle stitch hat. Stitch definitely depends on what color yarn you use. Yes. I'm sorry, my thumb keeps going in front of the camera. I'm sorry. Oh, I hope all you guys are doing really well. Who's what's it? And I did put out some invite links to some people's. So hopefully, we'll have some guests on, to help facilitate the flow of the stream. To me, it's always more fun, having somebody else on as well. So hopefully, I'll be joined with some personages and we can do a Brady Bunch screen kind of thing. Excuse me. Um, you're doing the C to C, join as you go. Those are fun. Those are a lot of fun. Yes, Kathy, you made the live. Hello. Yes, you're not seeing a replay. This is live and in person. Yeah, Michael, I'm sorry you couldn't join in, but maybe next time. You know that you're always welcome on here. Um, hello, Brenda, Jennifer, Karen. Yes, it is a happy Friday. It's definitely a happy Friday. And I've been busy, busy, busy working on my tutorial for tomorrow. I did a lot of recording. Boy, thank you, AJ. Yes, please hit that like button. Yeah, I did send the invite to Russ. He sounded very tired. If you can sound tired via a text. Oh, Claudia, that's really cool. You're putting in a fiber arts competition in an alpaca show. Ooh, good luck. Good luck. I've never entered any of my work in any sort of a competition or anything like that. Would love to send you a couple and get out and take home design yours to be the deluxe version. Haha. I'm sorry. I'm love to send you a couple to get out and not quite sure. Maybe I missed something. Astarian should be your picture for your channel. Yeah, Astarian. Well, for those of you that don't know, I've been playing on my other YouTube channel, Fiber Spider Games, a game called Baldur's Gate 3. It's a fantasy role-playing game, and it is so much fun. I post videos on that channel every other day, and mostly lately I've been playing a lot of Baldur's Gate 3. And he's an elf, he's a wood elf, and he's a druid, and he can shape change into various beasts. Mostly I go with changing him into a bear because he has the most bang for his buck. You know he wallops those goblins and nasties really bad, but also he has a lot of health points, so he's very helpful. Let's see. Did I make the spider behind me? No, actually, this was sent to me by a lovely viewer. It has sort of a mirrored um, appearance on it. It's hard to tell in this lighting, but it does have little mirror bits, and then the sort of like little bony bits on the legs. They glow in the dark. So when I turn out the lights, freaky. Um, uh, don't know if you can get any games off Epic, but WWZ World War Z is free on the Epic launcher this week. I don't have any. I don't have a PC. World War Z. It did look interesting. There is actually a game that I want to get soon. It is Atomfall. That one I really am interested in. Um, Do you play Dungeons and Dragons considering how much you are enjoying Baldur's Gate 3? Actually, I did. I did play do I ever spray that spider with lemon pledge? Har 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 turtle. I used to play Dungeons and Dragons back in the 1980s when it was feared that it was the devil's playground. My dad was really cool. He was the dungeon master for my brother and myself. And I had a couple of characters. I had a paladin. They're sort of like a holy knight, if you will. His name was Peter White Dove. And I had a hobbit thief, and his name was Guido. Don't ask me why I came up with that name. And I also had a magic user, sort of a wizard, and his name was Fu Manchu. And his little figurine, he had a little dragon on his shoulder, and he had this big, crazy handlebar mustache and a bald head, and he was wearing a yellow robe. And Fu Manchu, just that was the name that I used. I was a child. What can I say? Um, Anywho, but yeah, I used to play Dungeons and Dragons when I was an itty bitty little spider. But playing as a druid in the current game, it's a lot of fun. You know, um, it is a lot of fun. And Astarion, he's my favorite character. He's an elf, and he is a vampire, and he is a rogue. A rogue is, he's a ne'er-do-well. He likes to cause trouble, and he's sneaky, and he can pick locks, and so forth, and he can disarm traps. But he's the cat's meow, and my character is trying to romance him and see where that goes. Don't know. So let me see. Want to check something out. We'd like to send you a couple of crochet calmers. I write a little poem with it, give them out to people who aren't doing very well or have gone above and beyond. I make them out of velvety. That sounds lovely, Linda. That sounds lovely. Thank you in advance. Hello, Cindy. Fu Manchu was my favorite panda shaman. Played a gnome bard named Doorstop. Stawp. Oh, you guys are so sweet. Actually, one of the things that I was thinking about getting, I made one actually eons ago out of a cold porcelain clay that I made out of, I think it was cornstarch and white glue. It was a worry stone. It's sort of like a little flat disc with an indentation for rubbing your thumb in, sort of like, I think that might be construed as like one of the earliest fidget toys or that sort of thing, but you're just supposed to rub your thumb in the groove, and they are sometimes made out of semi-precious stones, like amethyst or rose quartz or what have you, sometimes made out of wood, and I think I would wear a hole right through that over time because, I got plenty of nervous energy, believe you me. Right now, I'm still working on my little granny squares with the Aberdeen yarn. I can't not do stuff. I always got to keep busy. Totally play games with you, with Thriss, hubby every now and then. Well, I mean, Panda, listen, if you ever get Baldur's Gate 3, on PlayStation, because I don't know if it's cross-platform, but if you ever get Baldur's Gate 3 for the PlayStation, I would totally love to have you in my party. That would be so much fun. We could do it like an offline playthrough together. That'd be so much fun. It's a lot of fun, that game. It is. I did do a lot of pre-recording in that game, and I have enough videos from now until like the 1st of March, I think. And I get my butt kicked. If you want to see me suffer, keep watching. You don't have a PS5? It's a great system, seriously. But, Panda, if you could look into if there is the possibility of cross-platform play between, PC and PS5, I would still be more than happy, to, have a campaign. You play Baldur's Gate 3 together, you need to stream it on your other channel. It would be fun. It would be a lot of fun. Thank you so much for accepting them. Do you know how you could give me your address or PO box, send them to? Actually, Linda, my PO box is in the description box of like all of my videos. I don't have a description box of anything in this current video because I went directly from StreamYard to live. But yeah, my PO box, it's in like every video that I do. So if you got a pen and paper, Fiber Spider, PO Box 654, Ridge, New York 11961. What shawl has a border like the Brenna? Cannot remember. Post about 4 years ago. That's a good question. It sounds sort of like a sawtooth edge. Have you ever seen a cape made of granny squares? They act like diamonds on the cape when you join them. Ooh, that sounds pretty. That does sound pretty. Hello, Margaret in Melbourne. More cheesecake, please. You know what? I had 2 slices of it. I gave my neighbors a big old slice, and my mom, she had a sliver because she's a dainty lady. My mom had a sliver of my cheesecake, and she gave the thumbs up. She said it was good. And even though I didn't put the sugar in the graham cracker crust, she couldn't tell the difference either. And then I froze a couple of pieces, and actually, wait. Do you make special requests for people? I know that's an odd question, but I just need to know. Generally, no, to be perfectly honest. Thank you, Turtle Stacks. Thank you. Yeah, generally, I don't do special requests. If it isn't something that's already kind of in my wheelhouse, only because I don't like making promises that I can't fill. Um, uh, and because usually I have like multiple projects planned out in advance. I used to, before I was doing YouTube, I used to do sort of custom orders. Like people would, they would commission me to make a piece for them, and I got stiffed a bunch of times, and that was a big discouraging factor. And then, because I mean, I would just make the project, and then I would have them pay me when I finished it and I gave it to them, and people were stiffing me. So I'm like, you know what? You have to pay me at least, half of the cost up front, and then when I deliver it, you give me the other half. But honestly, it became so frustrating that's why, is that Matt? Hi, Matt. Oh, he's a guest. There we go.
There I am.
Hi, Matt.
What's up, everyone? What's going on, Craig?
So glad you're here. Hi. Glad you could make it.
I said I was going to be here. I just got off work.
Well, you know what? I thank you very much.
Down straight home.
Is your shirt black bleach tie-dyed?
It's kind of funky.
Well, no, because it makes me think of a shirt that I did once where you took a black shirt and then I spritzed it with bleach and water to give it that effect.
I don't know.
It's cool.
This is
Don't get me
this
wrong.
isn't
Don't
this isn't
misunderstand me. I
this is
like it.
this is I just dropped my blanket. Nah, this is an Amazon. This is an Amazon purchase.
No, it's cool. Because I did that eons and eons ago. I took it was like a wood cutout of a New Orleans sugar skull and a couple of fake leaves, and I put them on the shirt, and then I spritzed it, and then when I took the template off and the leaves off, you had this really cool design. It was really neat, but that's kind of what that reminds me of. So it's like if you take like just a black shirt, it turns the black orange if you bleach it. Go
Because
figure.
I remember because I got a couple of years on you. I remember when I was a kid, my
Just
mom
two or three.
would get that like Rit dye stuff, and you take a t-shirt and put rubber bands like all over it and drop it in the dye.
Yeah,
And
I
usually
I
like three
haven't
or four colors of dye.
I haven't done tie dye like in, oh God, we're talking decades, but the bleach technique is a lot easier. As far as like you don't have to worry about, staining your hands. Christy, thank you so much. Thank you so very much, Christy. Much obliged. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you so much. Um, and the neat thing about if you're tie dyeing with bleach is that the worst that can happen is that things get clean, things get disinfected.
Or it gets a hole through it from the bleaching
Well, you
through
you rinse out the
it.
bleach before it dissolves your clothes. And also you're not using straight bleach. You're using a mixture of like bleach and water so that it like gives it the uh thank you, Christy.
So it
It
gives it like this look.
gives you the effect. Right. It's like light, it's not like acid. Thank you, Nana Michelle. Um, but yeah, oh, I haven't done that in eons. And different colored fabrics react differently to the bleach.
Mm-hmm.
It was like a dark purple shirt and it turned it pink, which was odd. But the black was, I think, the coolest.
It's like some people use like the Grecian formula
I'm
on
sorry, the
the
what?
like Grecian formula on their hair. Like the
What
men's
is that?
thing to turn your hair darker like the original color. And some people put it on their hair and it'll turn purple.
You know what? Way back when I was in high school, I tried something. It was called Sun In.
Oh my
And
gosh, I know what you're talking about. And it's
yeah,
supposed to put highlights in your hair.
Well, it's this spray, and it's supposed to make your hair like blonde. Guess what color mine turned?
Oh no, you went to red?
Orange. It
Oh,
wasn't even red. No, no, it wasn't. There was nothing natural about it. It was like orange.
well, my mom,
I was like a big
ev-
navel.
every time, every time you could tell when my mom was upset, she would go and she would like dye her hair. Like that was her thing. And one day she yelled at me, Matt, Matt. And I go running upstairs in her bedroom and I'm like, what? And
I
she
see
goes,
Carrie
look.
had the same experience in the chat. Carrie, yeah, her hair turned orange too. You're a kindred spirit, Carrie.
Well, my
Go ahead,
mom
Matt.
came out of the bathroom
Yeah.
and her hair was like Ronald McDonald red,
Wow.
like red.
Actually, Panda, I didn't
And
quite look like. Sorry?
I couldn't like I tried not to laugh.
Well, the thing is that I went through a lot of different hairstyles when I was younger. In my teens and 20s, it was hard for people to keep up, because I did do the sun in, and then I also bleached it, so it was like blonde, like platinum
Oh,
blonde. Um, And then I got some really bright green. It was like a neon blue green sort of hair dye, and I did that. And I was a senior in high school, and my mom was not having it. Okay. Thank you, Elizabeth. Yes, my mom was not having it. And so when she gets mad, she'll do the silent treatment, but it is the loudest silent treatment you could ever imagine. Every door is closed extra firmly. Every exhalation is the deepest sigh. And so I got the silent treatment for about a week, and that's a while. And finally, I'm like, fine, you win. I was 17 at the time, and I'm like, okay, fine. What do you want? And so she called a hairdresser friend of hers so that she could try to dye it back to its brown color. Thank you, Tammy. So she called her friend, and so there I was in the kitchen with a towel around my shoulders while she proceeded to put peroxide in my hair and left it there for the better part of an hour.
Oh, it turned it white, didn't it? Like,
No, no, no. I had green stuff, trickling down my face for a while, and my scalp was on fire. It burned
oh,
so bad. And it got some of the green out, but not everything. And then we immediately then went from that into using brown hair dye.
your poor scalp. I mean,
Oh, well, no,
forget your hair because your hair would just about fall out because of all
well,
the.
maybe,
Yeah, maybe that's
maybe,
I've got a bit of that too.
but so the thing is that then after the brown hair dye and, the rinsing and so forth, by the end of that evening, my hair looked like a lawn that was dying. It was
Oh my!
green, it was brown, it looked awful, and I think she was really happy about that.
I
That
think
was
I for when I was in high school, I had like the Ziggy Stardust haircut. Like it all like spiked up down the middle, and it was like
Hi,
you know like
Vivian.
like almost like a mullet, like
Right.
long in the back, and it was all spiked in the middle.
Well, you're Ziggy Stardust, and I'm a spider from Mars.
Hey, there you go. And I had a red, like a burgundy streak in the middle of my hair.
Oh wow. Hi, Fiber Jazz.
So when it but you could only see the streak like if that light hit it right. Because I have dark brown hair, so you could only see that streak in my hair when the light hit it right. But I rocked that for a while.
And I
And
also I did blonde most of the time. When I wanted to change my, when I wanted to change my look from my typical brown, I usually just went blonde. It was sort of like blonde. It wasn't white. It was like a bright yellow blonde. Um, and then once I did, it was red. I mean, we're talking red, red, like blood red. It wasn't fire engine red. It was like a blood red. And I absolutely loved that. At that point, I was in college. So it was sort of like, all right, he's gonna make his own mistakes. Just let him make his own mistakes,
let him
kind of
do it.
thing. Um, and sometimes it just pays to be your own self. I just like to tell people, be your own kind of beautiful. So just keep on being you and the beautiful soul that you are. Linda, you are a sweet mush. You're a sweet
Exactly. Like,
mush.
everybody goes through like phases for stuff.
Right, right. And it was
Like
just, it was,
I went through the mullet, I went through the Ziggy Stardust thing.
yeah.
I had a flat top for a while. I mean,
Well, as far as the hairdos and so forth, or the hair don'ts, I remember when I was about 16, I had my hair parted down the middle, and it was down to about here or so. It was the time that Nirvana was like the thing, and
Yeah.
grunge was in, uh, printed T-shirt, flannel, open button down, and jeans. Grunge.
Uniform of the day.
Yes, grunge and alternative stuff. Um, oh, Linda. Well, thank you for joining us, Linda. Hope you're doing well. Thank you so much. Hope you have a great night. But yeah, the red I really liked because I had a pair of shoes to match. They were red velvet. You could spot me from a mile away. Yeah.
I never did like the color thing. I mostly did like the change in haircuts. Like
Sorry, the wet haircuts?
change like from like spiky hair to like a flat top to like going out of mullet to like I never really like colored my hair per se, but
Yeah,
like
crisscross
the
panda. I
different,
remember when
you know,
crisscross was popular. Yes, people were wearing their stuff backwards. That was when I was in like I want to say middle school or so. Um, Hello, Darth Mom. There were so many clothing fads. So many clothing fads.
yeah, but
Um,
I was that kid in school, the one with the like heavy metal t-shirt and the denim jacket with the ripped out like the vest with like the arms ripped off of it
so you
with all
were
the patches all over the place. That was me.
thank you, Darth Mom. So wait, you've seen Stranger Things, right?
Huh? Yeah.
Okay, so you were Eddie.
Yeah.
You were
Basically.
Eddie. Um, yeah, I think I would be more of a Dustin. I was the little geeky guy, the little awkward geeky guy. I had all my teeth. Um, I didn't have what was it? Something cranial dysplasia.
Yeah.
I don't remember the verbiage, but I mean he Dustin was always my favorite. I mean he was kind of a jerk in season 2, but because he kept the Demodog hidden, Dart kept him
Yeah.
hidden, but he was always my favorite, you know, definitely. Mike, not so much, because he was just like this whiny, angsty, pre-emo. It was like emo wasn't a thing back then, but he was like,
No, it
you
wasn't.
know, and then when the last season came out, it's like, dude, please get a haircut. You're not doing yourself any favors. Longer hair does not equate to cool. I'm still looking forward to the last season coming out. But the irony is, thank you, Fiber Jazz. The irony is that by the time they come out with the last season, they're going to be old enough to have kids. I mean, they
Oh
started when they
man.
were well, I mean, they started out when they were like maybe 12 or 13, and now they're probably like in their early 20s because it's been
Mhm.
going on for so long. And the last season took so long to come out because of COVID, which is totally understandable.
Yeah,
I say
because the one's
safety
supposed to be
first.
it's supposed to be coming out this year, isn't it?
I hope so.
From what I heard.
Oh, did I tell you? I've got a theory. I have a theory about what's going to happen in the next season. Not in its entirety, of course, but I have a theory um, that okay, Max. Now if any of you have not seen the end of the last season, this is going to be a little spoilery, a little. But so something happened to Max at the end of the last season. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, and so as a result, she lost her vision, right?
Yeah.
But she was saved by 11, right?
Yeah.
So here's my guess that because Max was saved by 11 and she lost her physical sight, because 11 is, she's
Yeah,
one with the Force, that because 11 saved her, she's going to have sort of like a second sight, like an ESP, kind of sense kind of thing. So what she doesn't have as far as like a visual physical sight, she's going to have as far as like an extra type sensory sight. So she can like see the upside down, but she can't see the real world kind of thing.
possible.
It
Possible.
could be a thing.
It could be a
I
thing.
have no basis in reality to base this on, but it could be a thing.
It could be a thing.
It could be a thing. Mark
Well,
my
I saw
words, people.
my son sent me a text, and I'm a happy camper about it because one of my favorite monsters is gonna be coming back either this year, the end of this year, or next year.
What monster?
Godzilla.
He's come back so many
No,
times.
no, no, no. This is the Toho, the Japanese version,
Okay,
which
but
was
God,
this
seriously,
was the minus
Godzilla,
this was the minus one, the one that they just did, not the American one. This is
Godzilla
actually
is.
a Japanese one, and it's the same company that did the original one is doing this one.
I understand what you're saying, but Godzilla is like psoriasis. They think they killed him, and they didn't. Fiber Jazz, Rebecca, thank you so much. Thank you. You big mush sweetheart. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So sweet. You guys are awesome sauce. I always
Thank you,
say
Greg.
I
I
don't I
appreciate
don't
it.
expect, but I appreciate everything. You guys know that. Thank you so much.
That was a happy birthday.
Thank you. Good night, Elizabeth. Bell bottoms never make another comeback. Don't worry, they will. Some
I
ridiculous
love bell
person.
bottoms.
No. Russ, thank you. Thank you, Russ. Join in the
I had
chat.
and I had white bell bottoms.
Oh God. Well, you know what? At least they weren't powder blue.
No,
If they were powder blue, then I'd have to come after you.
I had the white ones, and I had like the regular jeans, the bell bottom jeans.
Uh, did it also have like a big patch in the shape of a daisy on one of the butt cheeks?
No, mine were
Or was it one of the
customized.
partridges from the Partridge Family?
Mine were customized
Oh,
up the sides of the bell bottom. My mom cut a V
oh,
and
hang
put
on,
in
hang on,
a
hang on.
a
Russ, I'm sorry you're
piece of
not feeling
fabric.
well, but I'll be on for a bit. So if you can join, you're more than welcome. But I'm sorry you're not feeling well. Please get some rest. Um,
Oh,
um,
Russ?
yeah, Russ isn't feeling too hot. I'm sorry, Russ. But so you had custom ones?
Yeah. So my mom took like up the side seam of the pants, cut like a V, and
Hmm.
sewed in like a piece of fabric. So I had these like V's up the sides of my.
Yeah, but the thing is, but they were filled in with fabric though. It's not like you had like,
No, they weren't like cut
like
and left that way. It had
right.
like a piece of fabric like in that V, and it's like I think of that stuff now. It's like, oh my gosh,
It's funny you
I
say that.
supported that look.
When I was in, I want to say it was maybe the ninth grade, there was this one kid. His name was Josh, and he was born in the wrong decade. He was such a hippie. He was the most chill guy known to man. Um, he was really, really chill. That could have been the drugs. I don't know, but he was very, very sweet. He was very nice. And he was the only Caucasian person I've known of that had dreadlocks at that time. And he had like all sorts of different color hair, and he had the craziest bell bottoms where, yeah, it was like a pair of jeans, but then it was slit up the side, and then it was like filled in with tons and tons and tons of fabric.
Mhm,
Small people could live in the legs of his pants. They were
mhm.
huge. Um, Thank you, Norma. I do try to be detailed. Yes, it could have been the drugs, Panda. I remember once, now keep in mind, this was in, I want to say the mid 90s. So Um, things were a little less liberal back then.
I went through the
They,
70s,
you know,
so,
I mean, things were getting more liberal and accepting. But I remember one day he came to school wearing a dress, and now he wasn't trans, he wasn't, in the LGBTQ community at all, but he was just very free spirited. And so he came to school and he was wearing a dress, and he said that his name was Martha, and it was like this big gag, if you will. And of course, the teachers were in like they were in a tizzy about it. Like, what do we do about this? He's dressed, but he's wearing a dress. Because he was distracting people, I guess. They couldn't handle it. They couldn't cope or whatever. But yes, he's like, I'm Martha. It was funny. It was a gag. Um, you know, um, but I mean, things have definitely become more so liberal. I mean, by the time I was a senior in high school, um, you know, if you were gay, in '97, it was just sort of like, okay, what else is new? Who cares? It's fine. I mean, I was kind of a novelty, um, and I think that with some people, I was popular just because I was like the token gay guy. Um, but my principal was not happy with me. I don't know if I shared this story before, um, but the like, because you know how like you have like a yearbook quote, like
yeah.
underneath your picture, you like write something for your quote underneath your picture. I wanted my quote to be, "I'm not gay, but my boyfriend is." He did not like that, and he made me change it because he said it was inappropriate. Like, okay, fine. So I changed it to "Dare to be different," but I got the last laugh because I took my boyfriend to the prom and we wore matching tuxes and we slow danced, and he was seeing red, but I think legally he couldn't do anything about it. So he
Mm-mm.
was just standing back and fuming and seething and frothing. But, because I mean, if he had pushed that, oh, I totally would have, gone through litigation of some sort. I've been like, you know what? No, like I should have rights like other people have rights. I don't want special rights. I would like equivalent rights, if you don't mind. Um, but yeah, that was high school. But then in college, I went sort of goth,
Oh,
black
no.
fingernails. Yes, black fingernails. And I remember I had like this crazy long black leather Wilson's trench coat and a Pink Floyd The Wall lunchbox, and little black shades. I mean, the Matrix was new back then,
I
and I
always
loved that
wanted
movie.
one of those leather jackets. I
What's that?
so wanted one of those leather jackets.
What, a trench?
The leather trench, like the
Yeah.
the one that
Like not Columbine, not a
no,
duster, not Columbine people. No.
no, like the one that Keanu Reeves wears when they walk into that building. That one like long trench thing. I wanted one
Yeah.
like
And then
I want one of those.
I mean my jewelry was questionable too. Um, where also I had a pair of handcuffs. They were real handcuffs, but I wore them both on one wrist as a bracelet. I was an interesting fashion victim back in the day. you know. And
Well,
because I was on campus a lot, I mean, I would be on campus from like early afternoon until way after most of the buildings were closed. Um, and because I was on campus late at night and it was a big campus, um, and I mean, hate crimes exist no matter where you are.
yeah.
I was always armed, but not with your typical type of weaponry. I was taking a lot of painting classes, so I had a staple gun. So
Oh,
that was my defense. Yes, I would stretch my own canvases, and yeah, so I had a staple gun. I mean, granted, I'd have to be up close and personal to use it, but yeah,
yeah, but it would
I-
hurt. I mean,
yeah, I
You
I was a
know,
character. I'm still a character, I now I'm a full-grown weirdo.
we were
Um,
laughing. I was laughing one time. We were reading. Have you ever read the Darwin Awards?
you wear a handyman loss, Losse? What's that? Or is that a typo? I don't know what a handyman loss is. Do tell, Mr. Carson Troll. What were you saying, Matt?
Oh, I would. Have you ever read the Darwin Awards?
I know of the Darwin Awards, yes. Yeah.
Oh my
If for those of you
god,
that don't know, oh, Revenant, thank you so much. Oh,
that's
thank
cool. Thank you.
you. Spiderweb shawl for your partner's Ren Fair costume. That sounds awesome. Thank you so much. Oh, it was a typo. Was it a typo negative?
Or it could be so positive.
A B A B B.
AB normal.
Oh, yeah, that was such a great movie. Um, so you did what? What did you have? What was it?
The Darwin Awards thing.
Yes, yes, yes,
There was
yes.
there was one a guy. It was confirmed, and this guy tried to commit suicide with a nail gun.
Oh, Carson, you mean Hangman's Noose? That would keep people at bay, I'm sure. So he shot himself with an actual nail gun.
Yeah, it like and
Uh,
it didn't kill him. They took him to the hospital. He had like 5 nails in his stuck in his head.
Good night, Christy. Thank you for joining us. Yeah, for those of you that don't know, the Darwin Awards, I mean, Darwin, he was the whole personage about survival of the fittest and so on and
Yeah,
so forth. So the Darwin Awards go to people that have inadvertently unalived themselves through really stupid means. And when I mean
that is,
stupid, I mean like just like the most odd ways that one could unalive themselves through just complete lack of common sense
and
or
there's
awareness.
some of them that don't even like take themselves out of the gene pool.
Mhm.
It's just like crazy stuff that like people do.
Yeah,
And the
well, I mean,
Darwin,
sometimes I think that the gene pool needs a little more chlorine, or some people's family trees need a couple more branches.
yes,
Um, you know, the guy who attached jet engines to his car and activated them. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Darwin Awards are like the final destination. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. It's just like, yeah, evolution missed a beat. Like evolution blinked or something. Um, and or it's also sort of like there was a TV show called I think it was called A Thousand Ways to Die or something. And it was hello, rolling with Rosie. Hello. Um, people inadvertently causing their own demise from doing something really, really stupid, like um, trying to clean out a wall socket with a fork,
yeah.
and you didn't turn off the power, just like people do some pretty gosh darn stupid things, you know.
There was just there was just one recently that I saw that this guy, I think he was trying to kill like these gophers in his backyard.
Tell me he used dynamite.
No, he put like he like dumped gasoline or something down the holes and then lit it off. And he was lucky he was standing on cement
Yeah.
because the whole dirt went boom,
Yeah, yeah. Well, see,
and
there's
he's
that,
like,
but
"Ah!"
also,
He's like freaking out,
you know what?
and
What?
the dirt jumped like about 5 feet in the air.
Yeah, what would have been interesting is because you don't know where the holes go.
Go.
So what if the hole went into his home, like into like the crawl space of his home, and then all that gasoline went right back into his home, and then he ended up blowing up his house. I mean, you gotta use the noggin, people. We were born with a brain. We should use it, you know? Uh,
Well, there was one up in Washington
yeah,
up
yeah,
in
yeah.
Seattle. There
Yeah,
was a guy.
Carson, I totally understand what you're saying. Yeah, some things just should not be toyed with. Yeah, bleach is a cleanser, not a cure. Great line from Finding Nemo. Fish are friends, not food.
Fish,
I love
not food.
Bruce. Love Bruce. That was such a good movie. And for those of you that are familiar with Finding Nemo, I think it was like the special edition, they had, the seagulls going, mine, mine, mine. Well, they had in there, it was a clip of the seagull going, mine, but they had it in every language in quick
That's awesome.
succession. So it was, with like little subtitles saying what language it was being said underneath, and it was like 50 some odd languages, and it was the most hysterical thing. Um, do you think you can do the? Do you think that you can do these things, but you can't, Nemo? It was such a good movie. It was such a good movie. Escape. It's spelled just like escape. Oh, escape. That movie was before its time.
The
You
one
know
that
that.
was the one that was kind of disturbing was sorry,
Hello, puppers.
he's he's been when mama's not home, he's like right on my heel.
No
Huh.
need to apologize. How you doing, little puppers?
Huh.
Hi. Aw, so cute. Yes, P. Sherman, 42 Wallaby Way, Sydney. Fossil! World Cup Fossil! Wait, I have to have the bag. World Cup Fossil! Fossil! It was such a cute movie. And I think that Ellen DeGeneres did such a great voice acting job
So
with.
did Bruce though. Like
Well, yeah, but I mean,
yeah,
well, Bruce had such a small part by comparison.
yeah,
Um,
but I mean
oh, who was the one that did the voice of the Pelican? I want to say it was. Oh God, who did the voice of the Pelican? Oh God, I can't remember his name. Jeffrey Rush, was it? Was
I
it Jeffrey
thought
Rush?
so.
Because I mean, he too. I mean, I love his work. Just keep
Keep
swimming, just keep
swimming.
swimming. I mean, the stoned out turtles. I mean, they were kind of eh, you know, jelly,
It reminded me
sweet.
of Spicoli.
Oh, yes, yes, definitely Spicoli from what was that
Fast Times
movie?
at Ridgemont High.
Thank you. I never got into that movie. I was more of a John Hughes 80s kind of guy. Pretty in Pink, Breakfast Club, Weird Science, 16 Candles.
Oh, what was that
No,
movie? It was
which one? I mean, if it's
oh
anything to do with the Breakfast Club, I can quote that movie like verbatim. Okay, no, people in the chat.
no. What was that movie?
When you were in high school, everybody, people in chat, when you were in high school, which of the characters from the Breakfast Club did you identify with? Was it the princess, the basket case, the brain, the jock, or the criminal? Me, I identified with two. Can you guess which?
The nerd in the basket case?
Yep.
I was the jock and the criminal.
Okay. You mellowed out.
Because I played sports and stuff, but I wasn't in that. I didn't belong to that crowd.
Hi, VJ. Yeah, I was definitely bookish, but I was also neurotic. I'm still neurotic and bookish, but that though I identified mostly with those two, and I loved Ali Sheedy in that role. Especially when she like squeals and slams her head down, or
Down onto
she's
the
shaking her
table.
dandruff onto the drawing that she did, or flinging up her olive loaf onto the statue and making a crunch and munch sandwich with pixie sticks. You know, Hi Pebbles. You know, it was such a great movie. So you were a criminal jock, and I was a see. All we, you know what? We just needed, you know, between the two of us, we just needed the princess. Where's Russ? Where's Russ? Well, he is my biggest cheerleader. You know, Russ and I, we've been friends for so many years, and he's always like, "I'm your biggest cheerleader." I'm like, "I know, hun." You know, he's a sweetheart. It's just a shame that he's not feeling well. Michael's not feeling well. I did also invite Buddy, but you know, I sent him the link. You know, but I don't know what's up with him. Yes, Salem. Yes, I am still the basket case too. Um, yes, my princess is in another castle. Yes, we need the princess.
Who is the guy from
Wow.
Eric Stoltz? That's who it was.
Oh, Some Kind of Wonderful?
Yes,
Okay.
I love that movie.
Well, you know what?
That was my favorite, like 80s.
I really liked Watts in that movie.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. She was the best.
You know, because she was like, break his heart and I'll break your face, you know,
Yeah,
like, and she ended up getting the earrings at the end anyway. You know,
yeah.
I
She's
really
like,
liked
I was
Watts,
hoping I would get these.
you know, you know, I mean, and then when they had that kiss in the garage, you know, she's like, well, you got to know if you're doing it right. And then, of course, I loved her in Hi, Vicky. I loved her in Fried Green Tomatoes. Tawanda, you know, great actress. Um, I don't recall what else she was in, that particular actress.
No, those
Um,
are the only two I can think of.
but and of course Kathy Bates, you know, I mean I talk about this movie every now and then, but you know, when she has that sort of cracking epiphany moment in the parking lot where the young girls they steal her parking spot and she's like, "Excuse me, I was waiting for that parking spot." And girls are like, "Well, face it, lady, we're younger and faster." So then she proceeds to drive into their car like five
He smashes
times
into her car.
screaming Tawanda, you know, and then they're screaming at her, and
I'm older
she's
and
like,
I have
"Face it,
more
girls."
insurance.
Yeah, face it, girls. I'm older and I have more insurance, and she just drives off, and it's just like it's such a great line, you know. And between that and Misery,
Oh,
so good,
Misery's crazy. Misery was crazy.
you know. You're just a lying old dirty birdie. Face it, if I die, you die. You better hope nothing happens to me, you know. You know, it's such a good one. Actually, that one I've been watching. I recently discovered Tubi, Tubi. It's a free app.
Mhm.
I have it on my smart TV. Um, and the older you get, the more you understand why she hit their car. You don't have to be old to understand why. You know, it's like you just get fed up with people who are entitled and rude. You know, she just
Mhm.
hit her snapping point. She went from being, you know, a very submissive and down on herself woman to being empowered. You know, she wasn't a Karen about it though, you know, like she only did stuff like in response to others. She didn't like look for trouble, you know, but she was like, I'm not going to put up with this nonsense anymore. But she wasn't a Karen about it.
Speaking of, like, I know you came on and were talking about books and stuff yesterday.
Mm.
There's a movie that's supposedly, I think it's coming on Peacock this weekend, and it's right up your alley.
Well, I don't have
Nos-
Peacock, but go ahead.
Nosferatu.
I know. You know what? I saw the original silent version.
So did I.
And AJ, you're right. She did. She matched their energy, sass for sass. She didn't bring it to the table, but she brought an equivalent dish. Um, yeah, I saw the original silent version of Nosferatu and the 1979 um, Oscar Werner. No, not Oscar Werner. Was it Oscar Werner? No. Werner Herzog. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Yeah, Herzog, his 1979 version of uh, Nosferatu was really good because they shot it in German and they also redubbed it in English as well, which I thought, wow, that's effort. Um, it was so good. So, so good. That actually, you could probably watch that on YouTube, actually. Some of the acting, it's a little bit over the top, especially with Renfield. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Well, it's Nosferatu. I mean, you know, you gotta have
Well,
a
no,
little
but I
bit.
mean, like, did you see the 79 version?
I saw the black and white, the early one, but I haven't
Okay,
seen
well,
the
uh,
second one,
with
and I wanted to watch the new one because of what's his name's in it. He always plays the creepy roles.
oh, that helps. Christopher Walken, he could read the telephone book and be
That would
creepy.
be creepy. No, he was in Platoon. He was in what else was he in? He was in one of the Batman movies. William Defoe.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Willem Dafoe, he be creepy. Actually, I think
He's in the new Nosferatu movie.
really
Yeah.
because I'm trying to remember who played Nosferatu because also there was a really good movie. Have you seen Shadow of the Vampire?
Uh-uh.
It had John Malkovich in it, and I think Willem Dafoe actually.
Because
And
William Defoe's in some
it
creepy
was
stuff.
about the making of Nosferatu. So you have this filmmaker going to Eastern Europe to make this movie about a vampire, but the kicker is they hired a real vampire to play the vampire. It was so good. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of John Malkovich, but it was a really good movie. He's like, "You ate the cameraman. Why didn't you eat the script girl?" He's like, "Oh, I'll eat her later." It was funny. There was some great funny bits. It was really, really good. If you guys haven't seen it, would totally recommend it. Wait. Panda, I drew you on Kim's live tonight for Pictionary. I drew you with a double-ended hook. It was 2 words. Can you guess? Fizzy B. Um, but yeah,
And
Shadow of the Vampire, it was really, really, really good. It was like it wasn't quite a biopic, but it was great. It was very, very good. But yeah, if you haven't seen the 79 version of Nosferatu, would totally, totally recommend it. Um, but yeah, I do plan on it. Like if they ever get it to Amazon Prime or Netflix or Tubi, oh, I'm gonna be all about it.
it may be, but I saw the trailer to it. It looked really good.
Yeah. I mean, well, I mean, also, didn't they come out with or are coming out with a sequel to the Bram Stoker's Dracula with Keanu Reeves?
I thought I read something about that. Like, I know they were making like a thing on the Bram Stoker the Dracula,
Right. That's,
but
because he was
I
in
didn't
that one,
read.
and that was
I
from
didn't.
like the 90s. And the funny thing is that out of all the actors, he was the weakest in that movie.
Good one, and it's more historical thing.
Mhm.
Is it's on? I want to say Netflix, and it's about Vlad the Impaler,
Mm,
and it's about the real Vlad the
right.
Impaler,
Right.
and
Um,
and about him fighting the Ottomans and
right.
all of that stuff.
Well, and
And
he
it's
was
like,
notorious for his means of getting rid of his foes and so forth.
yes,
Um, Recommend
and that
Attack of the
was
Block. I've heard of Attack of the Block, AJ, excuse me. Yeah, I have heard of Attack of the
not
Block. Um, that's okay, Julia. Better late than never. And there's always the replay, honey bunny. So it's all good. Um, uh,
And real quick, Ellen was asking, thank you. I appreciate it. I'm feeling a lot better. It was, I know I don't look like I'm sick. I didn't have the flu. What I had was a kidney stone.
Poor
So
dear.
yeah, and it's hereditary. I get them. It's a family thing, so I get them a couple of times a year. Um, and yesterday, that's why I called my live off because I was in no shape to do anything.
Well, I'm glad you're here, and I thank you for
But today, I mean,
braving.
I took care of that problem was taken care of like late last night, so I actually got some sleep and I got some rest, and I feel a lot better today. But it's a couple of times a year thing, so I'm kind of you know this isn't like the first time. So, but thank you everybody that sent their well wishes and everything. I appreciate it. I'm back in action.
Well, I'm happy about that, you know.
I'm kind of happy about it because the thing is miserable. Like it's
Well, I mean, like I said, I heard it's like giving birth to a piece of broken glass.
well, like I went to the hospital one time for it, and everybody, all the nurses and the doctors were telling me, "Oh, this is the most painful thing for a man, just like childbirth for a woman." And I'm like, "No, I don't want to know this. Give me sunshine and rainbows. I
And
don't want to hear.
lollipops.
Give me something. Give me
Right.
something besides, this is the most painful thing you can have." No.
Well, one of my coworkers, she gets them regularly, and she gets like an ultrasound to like try to break them up a bit.
Mhm.
Um, it's just, oh, I can only imagine, and I don't even want to imagine. So I am sorry.
Yeah,
Um,
my uncle had them, my dad. It's so, I get them like, like I said, it's a couple of times, 2, 3 times a year. And, it usually for me, it's like a day of some serious pain, and then it's gone again.
um, who's he? What's
What's
it?
what's going
Going
on,
back
Michael?
to going back to the whole vampire thing. I mean, Gary Oldman, though, when Gary Oldman did Dracula in Bram Stoker's Dracula, he did such a good job.
Bram
You know, between the
Stoker's was
trans
really good.
between the transition of him being like, old and gray and withered with the long fingernails to being very young and very dapper with the purple tea shades. I mean, the transition that he did, you know, and the accent and the acting, it was just chef's kiss.
See, because it's like you like Dracula, I like Godzilla.
Okay.
And my Godzilla is the Godzilla that walks around and trounces on everything.
With where you could see the zipper in the back of the outfit.
Well, that too. That just adds character. But like the Godzilla that's not saving humanity and like kinder, gentler Godzilla thing.
Well, and then the whole
No,
baby Godzilla, that
I
was
want him to go stomp around,
right.
mash up cities, and like go into the back into the ocean.
Right. Well, because the whole it was a social commentary movie about the
Yeah,
dangers and the repercussions of nuclear
nuclear.
weaponry and nuclear power. It's like, yeah, it will come back to bite you. The video game Rampage. Yes, I played Rampage in the arcade. Whenever I went to the roller skating rink when I was a kid in the 80s, I loved playing Rampage.
See,
Tell me
like
you did.
all my monsters, I don't like the kinder, gentler, friendly monsters. Like the ones that are now. Like I want to like
What? Wait, 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 wait. What monster now is gentle and kind and
no,
friendly?
like they make like the vampires and the werewolves kind of like
Oh, you're thinking Twilight.
I'm like that kind of thing. Or, like It's like, no,
Okay, well,
that's
no, no. See,
that's
Twilight,
not like
Twilight
that's
was its own animal. Twilight went against every form of mythos known to man. The idea that they don't burn in the sun, they just turn sparkly and shimmery, and you don't need a full moon to wolf out. You just need to get really annoyed. Um, I'm sorry. No. The only reason
well, there
why
was
it
one
was
that
such a
said put on
success was because
sunscreen.
Edward and Jacob were eye candy. That's the only reason why it became as popular as it did, you know. And you had, Edward, who was desperately trying to be a contemporary James Dean with the sad, pouting, brooding expression and the perfectly muscled, muffed up hair. And then you had, the more muscly Jacob, who was, hot, hot, hot blooded and, ready to tear somebody's face off. Um, but
See,
I mean,
mine is like American Werewolf in London, The Howling, um,
oh, oh,
like
oh,
like
Wolfen.
Wolf. Yeah,
Have you
like
seen Wolfen?
Wolfen.
Yes.
I think I did. My my favorite one though is The Howling when they show him up close and you can hear the bones and stuff popping and his face
Mhm.
like changes to the. It's like,
Well,
see, that's a werewolf.
the remarkable thing about the American Werewolf in London is that all of those effects were tangibly crafted and done with air bladders and, makeup, um, and
And if I remember right, the werewolf was a Muppet.
yeah, for parts of it, yes, he was a puppet. Um,
No, a
but I mean,
Muppet
that was a
Muppet.
great
It
one.
was
I mean,
made by like those guys.
yeah, but the thing is, the transformation sequence, I mean, that was really cool. And there's like a lot of plaster casting that was done, and so forth. And then, but like Wolfen, though, that one was really, really good. That one, it was in New York City in, I want to say, like the late 70s. And I think with Gregory Hines, I think was in it.
Oh, I did see that one.
Yeah. I mean, that
Yes, I
that was a
did.
great movie. Now, the kicker with that one is that the werewolves, they were invisible. It was like Predator. You could see like heat vision through what
Yeah.
their eyes were. I mean, that was such a good movie. Seriously. But the whole thing with Jacob and Edward, it's like, no, it was a coming of age romance story, But I mean, okay, in the chat, everybody now, in the chat, if you had to pick Edward or Jacob, a werewolf or a vampire, and you had to pick one or the other to be with for eternity, kind of thing. Which would you choose? You know, me personally, okay, if you took the body of Jacob, and
Yeah,
instead of
Michael's
him
got it.
being a werewolf, if Jacob was a vampire, I would have been happier. Because like if I had to pick between the two guys, I would have rather, you know, uh, uh, cuddled up with Jacob, so to speak. But I would rather be a vampire as opposed to a werewolf, because when you're a werewolf, you have to get so many new clothes. You know, it's like every night you have to buy a new outfit. But I'm seeing a lot of Jacobs. Michael, careful. Yeah, it's like I would want the ability and the power of a vampire, but I thought that Jacob was cuter, to be honest. He was a little less broody, a little less pouty, a little less wannabe James Dean, you know. Um,
And a good one for the werewolves.
mm,
It's by, come on. I can get the name of the author, but the name of the book is The Wolf's Hour.
okay, well, Fiber Jazz. Yes, Gregory Hines, yeah, he did do other movies with where he's a dancer. Um, but in this one, no, actually, he was I want to say he was in the police force. What exactly in the police force? I'm not entirely sure, but he was in the police force. Um, I'd rather have Bill, though. Bill, was Bill her father? Who was Bill? Camille? Who was Bill? Somebody tell me. Lost Boys. Yeah, that was a great movie. Oh, True Blood. Okay. Yeah, I saw little bits of True Blood. I never really got into that show. Um, but who's Whatskis? What was I going to say?
It's
Train
Robert
of Thought.
McCammon.
I'm sorry?
The Wolf Tower is Robert McCammon. You
Okay.
have to check it. You'll have to check that one out. That one's actually really cool.
Yeah, Lost Boys. Did you see the Lost Boys? I mean, the soundtrack was so good and it was so perfect for that era. I mean, the acting was like way over the top, but I mean, Kiefer Sutherland, he was so good in it. And then, of course, you had the two Coreys. And
Yeah.
it's funny though, because I mean, I loved Corey Feldman in the movie The Goonies. Okay. But when he was in The Lost Boys, all of a sudden he like forcibly changed his voice down like 7 octaves. And I'm like, dude, you're trying too hard. You know what I'm talking about? It was all like Rambo. It's like,
Yeah.
no, you're a little boy with a Rambo voice. It doesn't work. Um, just it didn't work. But I love that one line from that movie. Ah, it's the attack of Eddie Munster. It's it was a good movie, or Death by Stereo. It was a good movie. It was a good 80s movie. Or was that early 90s? I want to
I had
say
a
that
friend.
was maybe late 80s.
I had a friend of mine that took that to heart. Death by Stereo. He had the stereo in his car.
Uh-oh.
I could, I could be in my room playing guitar,
And you would vibrate?
and I could hear him like 2 blocks away.
Monster Squad, yeah. Wolfman's Got Nards? Do you know what I'm talking about? From
Uh-uh.
the Monster Squad. Yeah, one of the kids kicks the Wolfman and he starts like freaking out in pain. And the kid's like, "Oh, Wolfman's got nards." It was very much a late 80s, early 90s kids facing off against monsters. Although Frankenstein's monster, he was actually like the gentle giant in the movie. Dracula and Wolfman and the Mummy, and I think the Creature from the Black Lagoon were in it, and you had a whole bunch of kids from the neighborhood, thinking they're, badasses and so forth. You know, it was a cute movie. It wasn't quite entirely family friendly, but back then PG was much more loose back then.
Yes. And there's a good one, Underworld. That was a good movie.
I liked the aesthetic, but mm, I mean, if you're going to go with vampire movies, I would say a couple of the really, really good ones. It was The Hunger with David Bowie and Catherine Deneuve
I
and Susan
remember I saw
Sarandon. Bela Lugosi's Dead by Bauhaus was the song. That was such a good one. And then another really, really good one, a little bit more obscure though. It was on IFC eons ago. It was called The Addiction, and it had Lily Taylor and Christopher Walken. Christopher Walken had a very small role in it, but it was shot in black and white. It was very independent. And it was about Lily Taylor. She was a philosophy existentialism grad student in New York, and she's walking down the streets, and this woman in an evening dress grabs her, yanks her into an alley, and attacks her, and says, "Tell me to go away." And Lily's like, "Don't hurt me." And she's like, "No, no, no. Tell me to go away." And so she's all like, don't hurt me." So what does she do? She bites her. because in this scenario, the rule is you have to tell the vampire to go away, and then
Go
they
away.
will. But she doesn't, because she doesn't understand, obviously. She was just attacked. And then slowly she starts turning into a vampire. Um, and the problem is that if you have a philosopher of existentialism who then becomes a vampire, that is a recipe for some bad juju, because they're like questioning their existence, and now you throw in this other curveball because they're now questioning, are they even human anymore? It was really good, and it compares being a vampire to being an addict of a substance, as opposed to anything supernatural. It was a really, really good. It was not a movie; it was a film. I will say that. And then Christopher Walken, he, like I said, he has uh, a small role, but it was an effective role. It was a good movie, film. Yeah, The Addiction.
What was that? I saw years ago. There was it was like a documentary, and it was on like vampirism. And they were talking to like real people who thought they were like vampires.
I didn't see that one, AJ. Oh, wait. Oh, wait. Oh, What We Do in the Shadows?
Is that what it was?
It wasn't a documentary. It was sort of like a reality show where you had a household of vampires living together of different generations. Like one was a Nosferatu, one was from like the Middle Ages, one was
No,
from
these
pretty
were
recent.
actual like it was like a and they would like they would actually like do the blood thing,
Oh
but
no, no. This wasn't like
you could
on the Learning Channel or anything. No, it was a fake reality show, and it was called What We Do in the Shadows. Now they did a movie of it, but then they also did a TV series of it. I've only seen the movie. I haven't seen the TV series, but it's hysterical.
oh
It's
no, this was
absolutely
people thought they were actual like completely
no.
lived like the vampire thing, and they were talking about and they were talking like uh, doctors and stuff about these people would actually drink blood,
Mm.
and
Well,
you could only consume so much blood or it'll make you violently sick
yeah,
because your body won't can't digest it.
right.
And they
Yeah.
were going through this whole thing. It was crazy.
Well, I mean, I can understand, sort of like a dark fascination with things, but I mean, we're
No, these
human.
people had more was way past fascination.
Well,
And they were like dark clothes
I'm
and
giving the benefit of the doubt. Okay, I'm being nice.
only came out in the middle of the night, and they had like a special club thing. It was somewhere in Europe. There were I want to say it was somewhere in Europe, and they would come out at night and like ah,
Well, with the movie, because like I said, I haven't seen the show, but with the movie, What We Do in the Shadows, they turn a guy into a vampire, from like the time now, and he enjoys some of the powers that he gets, which is fun, but he misses the fact that he can't eat food. And he's like, I just want to have fish and chips. What's the matter with wanting fish and chips? And then so he takes a chip, which is, like a French fry.
French
He
fry.
takes it and he eats it. And then one of the other vampires goes, he ate the chip. It's the funniest thing because all of a sudden, well, funny, not funny, because then he gets so violently ill that it's like Mount Vesuvius.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, it's just like this torrent of like vomiting blood. Excuse me, I'm sorry for you squeamish people out there. But it's actually, it was really funny because that first line right before he ate the chip, it's like, oh, that's what's gonna happen, you know. Um, Dark Shadows, the movie I liked because I loved Tim Burton movies. I
I
saw
love I
bits
remember
of the original show. I had seen, but I never got far enough to where Barnabas shows up. Like I watched like the early stuff where uh, the um, the companion Vicky Winters, she shows up to the house. It's like the very beginning. You know, that's all I saw of Dark Shadows. Um,
That was on like PBS,
I mean, I
wasn't
know
it?
it was on all the time. You know, it was like a regular like mini-series soap opera type thing. But what's funny though is that if you watch closely and if you listen carefully, they flub some of their lines so bad. I remember once watching it, and it was they were in the hotel diner, the hotel cafe, and you could see, you know, the windows, and then there was a door with like a lace curtain in front of it over the window, and then you could see the actor through the curtain getting ready to come in, and he's jumping up and down, and he's getting himself ready to come in a hurry, and he's jumping up and down, and then he comes in a huff. It's like, dude, we can see you. We can see you. Or once you could see in the reflection of some glass, you could see the camera, or just out of the top of the frame, you could see the boom mic drop down into the frame real quick. You know, it's classic stuff that just doesn't happen anymore.
There was some pictures on the internet, and it was from the old, like the original, like black and white Godzilla movies.
Mm,
And it was the guy standing there, and like the head's off, and he's standing there like smoking a cigarette in the Godzilla outfit. And
mhm.
there was one, he's like standing next to these two girls, and they're having like lunch or something, and oh, they're crazy.
From what I understand, when they were making the costume, uh, they had to do some experimentation because the rubber that they initially used, it was not pliable, it wasn't flexible, and it weighed a ton. He couldn't move the poor guy. He was stuck in this costume that he couldn't move around in at all. It had absolutely no pliability, so they had to like tweak the rubber that was used to make the mold. Uh, you know, but
He's
all right, zombie movies though. Are you only like
zombie.
a vampire dude, or do you also like zombies? Because I see a lot in the chat going on about zombie movies. I mean, there's so many good ones.
Mummy
Seriously,
movies.
zombie movies, not mummy movies.
I like mummy movies. When he when he chokes the guy and he leaves like the bit of clay on his neck.
Don't know what was that one from?
The original one.
Okay. Well, I mean, like I've seen some mummy stuff. I mean, like I saw the Brendan Fraser The Mummy movie, and with
Eh,
that one, the only thing I liked about that movie was the scarabs. I like the little
yeah,
beetles, you know?
the scarabs were cool.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Um,
I was never into the zombie thing.
well, I mean, well, what
I was
about the original Undead? And I'm not talking White Zombie was, I think, the first zombie movie, but those they weren't the undead. They were like the hypnotized, if you will. You know, it was like more like voodoo magic zombie as opposed to supernatural undead zombie. Um, you know, but I mean, like the original 60s Night of the Living Dead, I mean, that's a classic. And that had some great social commentary in there too.
Isn't that the one where they're in the house and they like break through the oh, that movie scared the heck out of
And
me.
then there was a 1990s remake, which was really good. You know, that one was awesome. Um, you know, I mean, the original one, yes, you had Barbara and Ben, and you know, you had the young couple, and then you had the older couple with the daughter that was bitten, and they're all trying to like
Yeah.
board themselves in. Um, Camille, you're just hot for vampires. Well, whatever floats your boat, whatever fills your taco, whatever stirs your Kool-Aid. Um, uh,
Yes, with the mummy with Christopher Lee.
well, also didn't Christopher Lee do Dracula as well?
Bela Lugosi's he's
Well,
the bar by all Draculas
of
or
course, you know, but then later on with Ed Wood, pull the strings, pull the strings. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I have no idea.
Later in
Oops.
Bela Lugosi's career, he teamed up with Ed Wood, and then they did a biopic actually of Ed Wood. It was by Tim Burton. Johnny Depp played Ed Wood. Martin Landau played Bela Lugosi to a T. He played him
Because
so well. In fact, I think he won an award. I think he got an Oscar for it,
I know the
if I'm not
real Bela
mistaken.
Lugosi had like a miserable, because
Hi, Tammy.
they couldn't cast him as anything else. Like he played that role so well that that's it.
Yeah. But I mean, he was a great one. And the thing is, Ed Wood was a writer, producer, actor, director. He thought of himself as like, a new Orson Welles. He didn't have the talent. He had the energy and the enthusiasm, but not the talent. His movies were actually rated some of the worst ever. There was Bride of the Atom, which was also called Bride of the Monster, Glenn or Glenda. He did a bunch of movies, and they were awful, but in a good way. Plan 9 from Outer Space was another one. Um, More than likely, you can see them on YouTube. I wouldn't be surprised. But yeah, this we're going back to like the 1950s
Yeah.
ish thereabouts. And yes, Peter Cushing,
Peter
love
Cushing,
him,
he's
love him,
crazy.
and Peter Lorre, Vincent Price. I mean, you guys know I love, love, love,
Vincent
love.
Price is crazy.
Um, but yeah, as far as Night of the Living Dead, and then there was that 1990s remake, which basically they took all of the elements from the original one and then they gave them a twist, or a contemporary twist. So instead of Barbara being this mousy, afraid of everything, cowering, catatonic woman, no, she was badass. You know, she was shooting zombies, she was fighting back, she was tough. It was really good.
What was the Vincent Price one where there's like a disease going through like the
Last Man on
world,
Earth.
and he's like carries his wife.
The Last Man on Earth.
Oh, that another one that creeps me out.
Well, but the
That
funny thing
movie,
about
I was
that
like, yeah,
The funny thing about that was based off of the book I Am Legend by Richard Matheson, and it was called I Am Legend. Then they turned it into The Last Man on Earth with Vincent Price. Then in the 70s, it was The Omega Man with Charlton Heston.
I
And
like
then it
that
was
one.
the Will Smith movie, I Am Legend. So it was the same story, but it was revamped over the
Each
course
time.
of several decades.
Yeah, because the Vincent Price one scared me to death. That was, yeah.
Well, because they were vampires, but they behaved like zombies. They were slow, they were sluggish, they were stupid. Morgan, come out, Morgan,
Mhm.
Morgan. Ah. And he would put mirrors all over his house and garlic and crosses. And he would sharpen steaks on a lathe during the day and he would go out and hunt them. Um, uh, I mean, that was a great movie. I mean, the budget was non existent, um, but it was a classic. I want to say it was, um, I think it was made in Italy or something. Like the production company, I think was Italian, and the entire movie was dubbed and it was in black and white. They've done colorization versions of it, but yeah, The Last Man on Earth, you could totally find that on YouTube, easy.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
it's a great
What was
one.
what was the other one? The other one I'm thinking of is it was a Vincent Price movie. Uh, Hell House, was that it?
The Haunting of Hill House, or
Of
that
Hill
sorry, no,
House.
the house on Haunted Hill. Yeah.
And all the people go and they go to spend the night and all kinds of crazy stuff
Yeah.
happens.
Well, also another real good one of his, The Bat. That was another good one. Agnes Moorehead, she was in there. Yeah, that was a good one.
Because I don't know about
Um,
like in your part of the country, but like when you were growing up, like we had on Saturday night, I don't know if it was a Bay Area, like a California thing, but we used to have was it Don Wilkins or Bob Wilkins creature features.
I mean,
And
I know
and it
of
was
that
like
era. I mean,
Saturday,
there
it
was
was
there was
Saturday night,
there
and
was
they would
Vampira, and then there was
have
Elvira.
like, oh no, this was like, and he was just like this host guy, and he would come on and he'd play like, you know, all of these, like the original vampire Dracula, and
Mm.
like the original like Frankenstein and the Mummy and like Godzilla and like all these old like black and white
Darth Mom says
original.
Zachary. Yeah, I've heard of Zachary. I've heard
And
of him. I never saw him.
it was
There's also
cool.
Chiller Theater. That was another one. Um, yeah, I never really saw those so much. Like when I was growing up, there was the 1980s version of the Twilight Zone. There was Tales from the Dark Side, Tales from the Crypt. That was really big.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, I love Tales from the Dark Side though. That one was good. Um, TGIF and pizza was a thing. Yeah, there was that Friday lineup of sitcoms. Yes, I remember that only too well from when I was younger. Goosebumps TV series. Yes, I do recall that. Actually, I was more into, there was a TV show on Nickelodeon called Are You Afraid of the Dark? That one I really liked. Yeah, Kolchak the Night Stalker. I've heard of that, haven't seen it.
Yes, we used to watch that. The Night Stalker. Oh, geez.
From Dusk Till Dawn. You know what? I haven't seen it, and that's because I have a bias about Quentin Tarantino. He rubs me the wrong way. There's just something about him. He seems like a really tweaked out ferret, you know. So I was making this movie, and there's this guy, and I just had to film him. He's like, dude, if you have a drug problem, address it. I'm not saying he's on drugs, but he's just got like this really, really tenacious, twitchy energy that I find really unnerving. Um, I mean, I drink too much coffee. I'll be the first to admit it. But no, there's just something about Tarantino, and he takes himself way too seriously. Everybody should be able to like laugh at themselves, even just a little bit. But um,
Well, see,
Tarantino is Ricky Tikki Tavi, and you're bad.
now you can't mess with Ricky Tikki Tavi. I used to love that cartoon.
Ricky Tikki Tarantino.
And see, Vicky remembers creature features too.
Yeah.
It
Well, I
must,
mean,
it must
okay.
be like a West Coast thing.
I think that Pulp Fiction, I think it came out at the perfect time and it was good for what it was, but then it just sort of became a meme, before memes were even a thing. Um, you know,
Reservoir Dogs.
well, I really wasn't a huge fan of that. It's just, I don't know. I guess I'm just picky. I don't know. Um, but
Well, Pulp Fiction was good too.
okay, I think the best part was in that movie with Uma Thurman and John Travolta in the overpriced restaurant. Having it was like a $7 milkshake or something like that.
Yeah.
Um, you know, uh, but actually, Coley, vampires have a certain sex appeal, Coley says. And actually, that was one of the reasons why they were so taboo. Because in Bram Stoker's Dracula, the book, it was, if you look at it from a social perspective, not so much of a supernatural perspective, it was about how vampires represented the other, the alien, the outsider, um, coming from one country into another country and spreading influence uh, with looser, the purported idea was that it was of looser moral character and quality,
Yeah.
and looser sexuality, and this sort of outside influence, and also other, as far as religion, other religious influences. And so, I mean, it wasn't just a supernatural thing, it was like an invasion of the the mores of one culture from another culture, as well. There was a lot of you know that sort of vibe. It wasn't necessarily just supernatural. It was the influence of the other as a supernatural force. That was one way of critiquing that. And the only reason why I know of this is because actually I did a college course where that was one of the books that we had to read. It was sensation, horror, and mystery in Victorian literature. Actually, I heard recently that they found out who Jack the Ripper was.
What?
Yeah, one of my librarian friends where I work told me about this. Apparently, they had like a couple of suspects back in the day, and then they went through the family members of those suspects that are still alive now, did DNA testing, apparently, and actually found out who that person was. I don't know the name, but apparently they actually found out who it was. This person was interrogated a bunch of times back when the investigation was going on, and apparently that person that they interrogated the most, he was the one.
Wow.
So yeah, this I just heard this like yesterday. So interesting, you know.
That's really interesting.
you know, because when I was taking that class, we did a whole unit on Jack the Ripper. And so as my final project for that course, I wrote his diary. It was an interesting exercise. I decided to write a journal as if I was him, and the whole sort of backstory of why he did what he did. It was because he was a doctor and his mom wanted him to work with the unfortunates of society and help the homeless and prostitutes and so forth, but he thought that they were the refuse of society and he didn't want to have anything to do with them. But his mom said, well, if you don't do what I want, you're out of the will. So to get out his hatred of his mother, he would kill the likeness of his mother over and over and over again.
Okay, that's a
So
little creepy.
well, that's the idea. That was kind of the point. It was supposed to be creepy, and I entitled the project "Ripped Pages,"
That's
and
pretty cool.
it was a fun project to do. You know,
Because the real one, they thought it was part of the royal family.
yeah,
They
that was
thought
one
it
of the
was they
theories.
thought
I
it
mean,
was
they
one of
thought it
the
was a
royals.
doctor or a butcher, a baker, a candlestick maker. Yeah, they had a lot of theories about who it was, but apparently they found out who it was. Jen just says Aaron Kaminsky. So I don't know if Jen is saying that that is the person that they found out that that was it, or I don't know. Um, yeah, I did. I did do some writing. Magazine Boys Life. Yes, I do remember the magazine. Um, there was
I
another
remember
one.
Boys Life.
Well, you know what? One that I liked more, it was Highlights. It was in the office of every doctor's waiting room. Highlights magazine. I loved that one.
I remember those.
Yeah. Because I used to love the finds the differences or find the hidden pictures in the picture. Um, Jen Snow says yes. So apparently, um, Aaron Kosminski was Jack the Ripper. Interesting. You know, a shame he doesn't have a more sinister sounding name though.
Yeah, like
They confirmed 100% DNA match. Interesting. So a mystery that only took several hundred years to solve, they finally solved it. Go figure.
that's kind of a anticlimatical though. Like
Well,
he doesn't have like an evil name or anything.
I mean, like Jason Voorhees, that sounds evil, or Fred Krueger, that sounds evil,
Yeah.
you know? Contest in that boy's life magazine back in the late 1980s. What was his occupation? Yeah, what was his occupation? Was he in the medical field? Because apparently he had quite the expertise. Um,
Yeah. He was supposed to be a doctor because
that was one of the theories. A
bodies
butcher or a doctor, somebody who had
the way
good
the
knife
bodies were
skills,
taken apart.
apparently. Yeah,
When I
locating
was
little pictures in the big pictures.
when I was
Kosminski
when I
was a
was a kid,
hairdresser, AJ says. Are you serious? Or are you kidding?
Was a hairdresser.
I don't know if like they're kidding or not. Well, actually, you know what? Barbers back in that time period, barbers were
Were
also
doctors.
surgeons. They were, you know, because they had the best blades. And a yes, Warm Bodies was a good movie. Um, barbers, you know the barber pole, the red and white swirled pole. The origin of that, from what I had heard, was that barbers were also surgeons, and the bandages that were used were cleaned and then wrapped around a pole to dry. And that was the origin of the red and white barber pole. And that pole was outside of their place of business. Um, you know, yeah, Shades of Sweeney Todd. Yeah, totally. I love Sweeney Todd.
Edward Scissorhands.
No, Sweeney Todd, not well, Scissorhands was a good movie, and yes, and Vincent Price was in that too. He was the inventor. But no, I Sweeney Todd was so good. You know, I mean the some of the dialogue and the writing, it was just you know, the lyrics. That's the word I was looking for. Um, but who's he what? So if anybody can verify the vocation of the actual Jack the Ripper. But if it was hairdresser, that would be interesting. You know, maybe he got sick of doing one too many perms.
One too many powdered wigs.
uh,
I remember when I
Jeremy,
was
you have
little.
to see Sweeney Todd. It's such a good one. You know,
It
with Johnny
actually
Depp
is.
and Helena Bonham Carter rocks my world in that movie. She was so good. She really was.
When I was a kid, speaking of like crazy murderers things, I remember when we would get on the bus to come home from school, they would have us like get into the seat and get out the back of the bus because it was like a drill in case of the Zodiac killer.
Oh, yeah. I thought you
Because
were
we
talking
were
about like a stop, drop, and roll kind of duck
no,
and
this was like
cover
you got
bomb shelter
underneath the
thing.
seat and then you like got out the back of the bus because they were afraid of
Mm,
the Zodiac killers thing.
yeah,
And
yeah, because
I
like
said,
yeah, you were in the Zodiac era. You weren't in the Manson era, but you were definitely in the
no,
Zodiac
I
era.
was partly I would
You
have
weren't in the
been
Manson era.
Manson was in
He was in the 60s.
then I would have been if it was like 68, 69, I would have been 4 or 5 years old.
Vocation was unknown, suspected doctor or butcher. Yeah, and wait, going back. Yeah, the book, The String of Pearls, Tales of Sweeney Todd. Yes, I read most of it. I didn't end up finishing it though. Um, let's see.
And another one when I lived up in Washington was DB Cooper.
I'm sorry.
That's that's really interesting.
What is
You never heard of DB Cooper?
DB?
Yeah, DB Cooper.
No.
As a big thing like in like Oregon, Washington, up that way. It's this guy he commandeers this airplane
Mm.
and he robs everybody and like there's a suitcase of money and like all of this. I want to say he has the plane land and they give him a ransom and then they have it. He flies someplace. Well, when the plane um, gets up in the air, like it's over Washington or Oregon, and he has the plane fly just under 10,000 feet, opens the door and jumps out the plane,
Haven't heard that one.
and they've never seen any of the money Like they've never found any of the money, him, nothing.
Yeah, somebody said he was never identified or found. Interesting.
And none of the
Um,
money was ever like it must have been marked or something because they said the money has never shown up.
hmm. Well, because when you said two initials, the only personage that I'm familiar with like a two initial name was H. Holmes.
Yeah.
Now, oh gosh, he was Creepsville. Um, but his motivation wasn't like a bloodlust, it was more of a greed motivation. And then there was a book that I still want to read called Devil in the White City, and it's a fictionalization of half of the book is about him, and half of the book is about the World's Fair that happened at the same time. Um, but no, I had never heard about D.B. Cooper before.
Yeah, he was that was when I lived up in Washington, that was a big thing. Was 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 DB Cooper because they
Interesting.
never found him, they never found the money, they never he like he jumped out of the airplane and that
Oh, somebody
was
says the kid found some of the money on a beach.
I hadn't heard that.
Well, you never know. Stranger things have happened, and well, that's part of the fun of life. Weird stuff happening. Hello, lady. Hello, pretty lady.
The
Happy birthday.
Thank you. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Just
Good.
ran back from watching my grandson.
Well, happy to see you.
yeah,
You doing spiffy?
she's the one that as far as literature, she's the one you can talk
I
like
can't. That's why I kept saying a few things. I love some of those books you were talking about,
Thank
and
you.
some of those old movies you were mentioning.
That's the thing. I mean, the original ones are usually the best because it was fresh, you know?
Hmm.
And, a lot of the stuff now, it's like Hamburger Helper. It's like, I mean, I don't get me wrong, I like Hamburger Helper, but it's sort of
Hmm.
like a regurgitation of so many other elements that have happened before and been written about before. And it's just sort of like, okay, they, took a bit of this and a bit of this and a bit of this, and they made a new story with all those other elements,
Almost like that.
that like we all
First.
know and love.
Hmm. And being there and seeing it for yourself for the
being
first
there.
time.
Good movie.
That
Yeah.
that was such a good one. And the book was great too. Jerzy Kosinski, great book.
Hmm. Hmm. We'll continue.
And we're not sponsored by
Oh no, we're not sponsored.
that's
Well, tomorrow's video is going to be
just the water we
sponsored.
drink.
No, tomorrow's video is going to be sponsored by Lion Brand. So that's
Oh,
always a big plus.
we were, like the whole big buzz now is like being at because Joanne's is closing and
Mm.
all of that. We actually went. When was it? Wednesday,
Yes.
Tuesday,
Tuesday or Wednesday?
Tuesday, I believe. We went to Joanne's.
How'd it
So
go?
I have a little bit of a yarn haul from Joanne's, but
That's cool.
it was insane in the store. Like it was craziness.
Well,
Like
I haven't been to one in years. I mean, the closest one that was near me, they closed that a while ago, and there is still one on the island, but it's way too far for me to be interested in going to. But no, right now, actually, I'm currently working on. Okay, I don't know what happened to my label. It's somewhere I don't know, but I'm working with some of the mandala that was given to me. I have it on my uh, yarn dispenser thingy. I love this thing, the magnetic thing in the top there.
I have two of them.
I absolutely love this. I use it all the time, and I got my mom one for Christmas. And she loves hers too.
I've got two of them. I've got the bigger one, and then I've got the smaller one.
I mean it's such a clever gadget. It really, really is.
And I'll tell you what,
Um,
you pull on that thing once real hard, you learn real fast.
Yeah, you
How
do.
much, how
Somebody
easy,
asks, sorry, somebody's
how easy
asking, do
that
I
can
have a
spin.
fillet anytime soon? Uh, I don't have one lined up at the moment, Ray Tina. I mean, I do plan on doing more of them. I think I have some patterns. Oh, gotta love that mandala. I do have some fillet patterns that I've already written up. I just haven't gotten a chance to release them yet because I still have to have them tested, and eventually, you know. Um, let's see. Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
this is
AJ,
one.
yes, AJ, I'm totally using my yarn holder. I do love it. And, it's a fabulous thing. Thank you. It's a great gadget. It is. I mean, I still love my yarn bowl, but actually my yarn bowl has been commandeered by my my little balls of the Aberdeens. So it's like he's got fluffy brains.
No,
I
we
still
got.
love my
I
yarn
got
bowl.
some. I got some Red Heart from Joanne's, and I got some like. I was playing around with the
Good night, Julia.
um.
On your side in the back.
What's their brand? Big Twist hooks,
I've heard of it, haven't tried it.
and so that I got. But I thought of when we were in there. I thought of you when we were in
Uh-oh.
Joanne's because they had Werewolf, the lime, the was it Werewolf and
Was that the name of the colorway?
yeah.
Wow.
It's like you have those ones like one the Groot
Right.
and
Well, the mandala has like fantasy type names to it. Chimera or Chimera, Groot, Fairy, Gnome, Pixie.
Werewolf.
Yeah.
There was a werewolf. I've got one of those. Like I've got one. No, that's.
Hi, Vicky.
I know I've got a couple of them laying around here, and I
Yeah.
bought them
I mean,
because
I,
they
I love
were.
the
It was
names and
Mothra.
Centaur.
It
Centaur is
was.
my favorite.
It was Mothra.
Okay. I think I've used that one. I think it's got like purple and peach and dark green and
Yeah,
white.
there was
Oh, I'm
Mothra and
good.
Rodan,
Yep. Rodan, that's another one. Ghidra, that's another one.
and I had it.
Um,
I had. You know why I had to get those? Because those are Godzilla monsters. So I
touche.
had to.
Well,
I had to
Centaur
do
I
it.
really like, because it has all those autumn colors. Oh, and the thing is with this one, the Groot colorway, it's sort of like a fall orchard kind of colorway,
Mhm.
you know, like a fall orchard, like a fall autumn rainbow, if you will. It's like muted. It's not too hippie, bright, screaming in your face kind of rainbow. It's more muted. It's more chill. Because
The
it's got like
werewolf one I saw was actually it was a nice colorway. It
really,
was like browns to it was browns to gray to
and that was also mandala.
yeah, and it kind of no, it was almost kind of like this, but it was browns.
Because I never saw that colorway. I mean, I just grab what I can when I go to Walmart because the irony is that uh, where I am, I can only find Pound of Love in Michael's, and I can only find mandala at Walmart. So
Yeah, because
thank
we
you,
had
Dorothy, and thank you, Crafty Angels. Thank you, thank you.
yeah, because see, I grabbed these when we were at Joanne's just to try them out.
Well, you know what? On Amazon, you can get like a big set of, ergonomic, rubber grip type hooks for pretty darn cheap. But if you're ever, in the vicinity to splurge, Leto,
I
I love these. Leto are da bomb.
I want to try the that's I want to try those next, but I've got my you know
Is that a oh wait, what is the name of that brand? Not Leap Gay.
furls.
Was that?
This one's a furl.
Oh, that's a furl? Okay. No, I thought it was one of those like plastic ergonomic ones with the rounded tip kind of thing.
No, these
I
are
can't remember they
Prim.
have them at Michael's. I can't remember the name of them though.
Prim?
Prim, yes, Prim. Yeah.
I don't care for those. They squeak too much.
Um, but with these though, what I would strongly suggest is if you're going to, get any of them, get like if you can, get like three sizes in, a vicinity of each other. Like the sizes that you use most often.
Yeah,
Like when I first got them, I went with like it was like an H, an I, and a J. Those are the
that's
ones that I use most
probably
often.
that's
And
that's what we use most of the time.
yeah, I mean they have yeah, Jeremy, see Um they have like all different sizes. I think I have an F, a G, a K, an L, an M, I think even an O. Like more recently, I got like some of the bigger ones because I wanted to experiment with thicker yarns. But I use some of these itty bitty ones the most. Like this one's a 4 millimeter, and I use this with the Aberdeen yarn, and they're just hands down, bar none, they are my favorite hooks. Not sponsored by them, but I absolutely love their product. The craftsmanship is top notch.
I mean, they look beautiful. I like the was it Purple Heart wood?
Mm, yeah, the purple
It's
heartwood.
really pretty.
Yeah, I mean they're all gorgeous, and I mean they have so many really really nice different designs. Like um, this one just is just so dazzling to me. It's like a mosaic floor. It's just it's so scrumptious.
Yeah, that
Um,
one's really beautiful.
it is, and they're just the smoothness of them. I mean, they're polished beautifully, no burrs, no nothing. So
Because
I,
see,
I
that's
know
the
I know that they're
only
not cheap, but you in this instance you get what you pay for. Seriously,
that's
you
the
really
only
do.
reservation I would have about using the wooden hooks
Mm,
is because I like the metal ones because they slide.
these do. No, these slide. There's
And
no friction.
there's, when I've used like wooden knitting needles per se,
Right.
there's it has that, you know.
Well, because these are not like for instance, the Clover Takumi bamboo knitting needles, those grip.
Yes.
Those
Those
grip.
were
And
the
you know what?
first.
For beginners of knitting, that's good. You want it to grip because you don't want to have your yarn
Stuff
flying off the
slide out the
needles.
end.
I respect that. But once you're comfortable and you can go faster, you want that slickness.
Mhm.
So that's why the Chiaogus are really, really good for metal, slick, slidey, needles. Those are great. But these, I mean, you can see the light shining off of
Yeah,
this. I mean, these are like polished. These are
because
finished.
I
These are
didn't
really,
know
really
because
nice.
they're still wood.
Yes, but
I
there's
didn't
there's
know.
no there's no grippy grippy.
So it's a hard wood.
Yeah,
It's not like,
it's not porous.
no,
No,
it's a
like
hard wood.
it's like smooth as satin. Like I'm just sliding. There's no friction really. These are great. If I didn't think so, I wouldn't say so. And I've been using these for years. I've said it a million times over. Um, have a good night, Tammy. Um, Leto Leto Workshop is open. They have a website. They're not on Etsy anymore because of what happened with Ukraine as far as war. They ended up closing up their Etsy store, and then they now have their own website. It's I think letoworkshop.com, and you can get their stuff through there. I think that they have their inventory in I want to say Kiev or Prague. I'm sorry, I don't recall exactly. I'm geographically not great. Let's see. Remember we bought hooks, but yes, you splurge. Wait. Um, I would buy a 5.5 makes sense to buy. Craig, you're a knitter as well. Knitting needles do I use? Okay, sorry. Yeah, Kristen, yeah, Etsy, they're not going to be up and running again, but go to letoworkshop.com. That's their website for the hooks. As far as knitting needles, Chow Gu knitting needles are my favorites by and large. I used to, when I first started using circulars, I would use the Clover Takumis. Those were bamboo. Yeah, you got them. And
and the thing is, if you have a little extra money to spend on them, these I they're just
they're the best.
yeah.
Yeah, and also you
I'm
can get longer or shorter needles, and they just screw in. The cords do not have muscle memory, so they're not going to get all kinked up on you. That
yeah,
not like a telephone
like
cord.
these have been sitting in my these have been
Exactly.
sitting, and there's no
Right. They don't get freaky. You can also make them longer with little connectors, which is fabulous. The only thing, though, is that the sets come with smaller needles and larger needles. And the larger needles can only fit into the large cords, and the smaller needles can only fit in these small cords, the little connectors
yeah,
connecting the
I
needle to the
I
cord.
found out the hard way on that.
Me too. Yeah. Good night, Kirsten. So that's the only thing that you need to be aware of, that there are two different kinds of cords to go with your needles. But
Yeah,
yeah, you can connect
there's an
them,
L and an S.
and they are my favorites. And the sets come with a lot of different sizes. Okay. But just be sure to read the details on what you're getting in the set, because sometimes it's only half the set. Sometimes it's like just the small ones or just the large ones or all of them. Be sure to read, the description. I get them off of Dorothy. You are so welcome. Um, uh, I get them off of Amazon. I want to say they are, I think, about $200. I think. Am I right? Wrong? Indifferent?
Yeah,
I think they're
from
about 200, but honestly,
that's for the full set.
yeah, and that's all I get. I only get the full sets. But honestly, I think that they are very much worth it. I have several sets of them, um, and I can't recommend them enough. Ever
Yeah,
since I discovered Xiaogus, I think Russ turned me on to the Xiaogus actually, because before that I was using Addies, and I loved those. Don't get me wrong. I hated the cords. Because
yeah,
the cords had muscle memory and they would get coiled and kinky, not in the good way, and it was annoying. So, but then when I discovered the Xiaogus, seriously, love, love, love the Xiaogus. Can't
yeah.
recommend them
Because
enough.
I got the big set because I tend to use the bigger needles,
Yeah.
and then as I need them, I'm picking up like the shorts and
Hmm.
this like for doing hats and like that stuff. But yeah, I went through Knitter's Pride, the regular ones, Knitter's Pride cubits,
Right.
um,
Also, what was the other thing?
and I just
Oh,
memory on
yeah.
those connecting cables is just horrible.
Well, also, for crocheters, Xiaogu, they also have interchangeable Tunisian hooks. Yeah, see, Vicky says, Craig, I spent months trying to decide on knitting needles. I got the Xiaogus, and now I want another set. See, they're addictive. They're like potato
Yeah,
chips. Um, but yeah,
the
the
only
Xiaogus, they do also have the interchangeable cords to go with your Tunisian hooks. Those are, I believe, bamboo. Um, and because they're Tunisian, you don't have a nice ergonomic grip, but they have the great, interchangeability as far as the cords go, which is really, really nice. So if you're a crocheter, Xiaogus are still a viable option for you. Because interchangeable cords with Tunisian hooks, like you really, if you're going to go with a set of Tunisian hooks, go with the interchangeables because that way you can get the length. Because if you're just getting a solid, Tunisian crochet hook, it's like you're limited to how long the hook is. Now this one is double-ended. It's got a hook on either end, but you're limited as far as the size really that you can go with, which is kind of annoying. So go with. I'm not going to hit you on the back of the wrists here with this, but yeah, go with the interchangeables. They are worth it.
And
Totally
see,
recommend them.
before I got my interchangeable set, we were in a yarn
And
shop.
Michael, you're right. And Michael would know all about Tunisian if anybody
Yeah.
would.
Before I got my interchangeable set, we were in a yarn store, and I had heard chagu, and I'm like, I want to try them, just to see. So you can always get these too if you just want to try them.
Exactly. You could just get a single set of them by all means. You totally can. But
And
if you're in the bank market to spring.
but at least it's a way if you can try them at least,
Hmm.
and I mean you may or may not like them because
Yeah,
everybody's a little different.
of
But
course.
that's a cheap way of being able to
Mhm.
try them, and then if you want to make the leap.
You can also get cords as well, sold separately. You can do that as well. Like if you need a different length of cord, you can totally get that also sold separately.
Yeah, that's when I found out they had two different sizes.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, when we start out, we do learn some things the hard way. We do, you know. Um, but
And then once
there
I
are
got the
far worse
wrong
things.
then once
Pardon?
I got the wrong cable, then I had to get the adapter to be able to connect them, because they do have an adapter to
Yeah.
connect them to the larger needles.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
so yeah,
Like I said, yeah, I learned that
that
the
was
hard
my
way
next
too.
purchase.
Yeah, they're great though.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, I've tried quite a few. I mean, I started out with the straight needles, and then went to the circulars, then went to the circular interchangeable ones, and then I found the chagus, and it's like, that's it.
well, that
Those are the ones.
it's I followed in the exact same footsteps because yeah, I started with the straights, and there's nothing wrong with straight knitting needles if you're working on a like a narrow flat piece. Great, they're fine. But I felt like I was like a dysfunctional bird flapping its wings, you know. And what I really like about the circular ones is that it's sort of like self-tensioning because you don't have that flippy floppy action with the loose needles going over the place. It's connected to itself, so it's so much easier. Vicky, I not sponsored, but I get mine through Amazon. That's where I get
That's where I
mine
got
from,
mine.
Vicky. Was that?
That's where I got mine too.
Yeah. And they have all sorts of different sets, the different lengths of the needles. So that's where I would get mine from, and that's where I have gotten mine from. No affiliation, but I've gotten them from there a number of times. Sometimes I had an issue, I'm not gonna lie, where there was a pair or two of the needles missing, and the return policy is very easy, and then they send you a new set. Um, so
The only other needles that I would say that, like, for somebody, the chagu needles are not, like, you don't just want to jump into them because they are very slick and you're going to drop stitches off of those things.
mhm,
Um, a good one to start with is actually the Prim knitting needles.
okay.
Be- because yes, they are plastic. Yes, they have some drag, but the cord is like the chagus. It's a metal cord, so it doesn't
The
have
the
doesn't
threaded metal.
so you don't have the memory.
Yeah, a braided cable, I think they call it.
And
Yeah.
it doesn't have the memory. So that's one less thing you're fighting if you're learning how to knit. That's
Hmm.
one less that's one
Yeah.
less thing you have to fight, is that, a cable with some memory to it.
It's a death spiral. It's very annoying. I mean, you can make it work, but it makes the process so much less enjoyable.
And then having to stick it in like boiling water and stretch it straight. And then after
Hmm.
you get done using it, if you wind it up and put it back in the case, you got to go through that process all
Yep.
over again,
Yeah,
because it
I
will.
did that with the Addies,
Oh,
and I was just like, this is just too annoying,
yeah,
you
I did
know.
it with the I had a set of cubics, the Knitter's Pride. I think it's
Mm.
Knitter's Pride, the cubic ones. I really liked them, but the cables were just horrible. Like, I hated dealing with those cables.
Well, see, I
But
don't have cable. I just have Wi-Fi. Yeah.
ah,
No, my mom, she has cable, but in my room, I just have
just have
Wi-Fi in my
Wi-Fi.
TV. I only need the Wi-Fi in my TV. You know, I'm very low maintenance on that one. It's like I either watch, YouTube or Amazon Prime or Netflix or now Tubi. I mean, Tubi's all right. It's free, but there's commercials, which is annoying. And then they changed that with Amazon Prime. Like you have to have like a special subscription with Amazon Prime if you don't want commercials on those movies, which is like you're already getting enough out of me. Stop
Yeah,
stop
you
leeching me for more,
know
you
what?
know? And I mean, there are some good movies on Amazon Prime, but there's an overwhelming abundance of stuff that like was never in theaters. It was independently published, and there's a reason why it was independently published because it's so god awful. It's like it wouldn't even be on the Sci-Fi Channel. It's so bad. Um, it's like somebody made it with their cell phone camera. It's that bad. Um, but Netflix is always good. You know,
Well, we have, I mean,
Freebie.
and there's Freebie, I think,
I've heard of that. I don't think I have that, but I have heard of it.
because we have Apple TV.
Yeah.
I'm an Android guy.
So we've got like the Prime Video, we've got Freebie,
Hmm.
we had Tubi.
BYU TV.
Um, Rebecca's got BYU TV. Um,
Prime Video.
and of course we have YouTube. But the Apple TV works really well.
Well, I mean, I will say that I do have YouTube Premium because I watch so much YouTube that for me, not having to sit through the ads, it does make a difference.
Yeah,
Um,
so do we.
you know, and the thing is that if somebody has the premium YouTube and you're not watching the ads, the the person who made the video, they're still able to get monetized though. It's just in a different form, but they still do get monetization um,
Really?
benefits. Yes, they
Yeah.
do. Um, but if you know of a YouTuber that you like and you want to support them, and there's an ad, please watch the ad for them because that's how they get paid. If it's a skippable ad, sometimes the ads are exorbitantly long, but I think it's like after X amount of time, I don't know the exact amount, but after X amount of time, and if you skip it, then they get credit. Otherwise, if you just skip all the ads, you're not helping the content creators. So please help content creators, myself included. And that's why, excuse me, that's why um, I do put the ads on all of my videos, but I make them skippable ads, and I only put them at the beginning and at the end of the video because I don't want to hold my audience hostage. And also, I don't intersperse ads throughout my videos because I feel that would ruin the flow.
Yeah.
It's like you're trying to learn something. I don't want to interrupt that with an ad break. So that's why I put the ads at the beginning and at the end. And if people watch them, thank you, because that's how I pay my bills. So I'm not living in the lap of luxury. No, it's how I pay my bills. So, Carol says, if you have Amazon Prime, you have freebie. Well, then I'm going to have to check that out. Thank you for the tip. But it's like I have the option of like interspersing ads throughout, and I'm not doing that. That's no. It's not a hostage situation.
Yeah,
And if I'm
because you
trying to,
don't want to have like an ad in the middle of
no,
something like, you know.
yeah, Fuzzy says, yeah, some of the ads are like 30 minutes. It's like I wouldn't expect anybody to sit through that. But if it's like a couple minutes, just help support your favorite artists on here, because it's what helps us able to continue doing what we do. You
Yeah.
know. And then of course there are the super thanks and the super chats and all that. That's also a great bonus. But the nice thing about the ads is that it's a completely passive way of helping somebody just by not clicking something. Like you don't have to do anything, just be a little patient, and it makes all the difference. So that's totally appreciated too. Anywho, I think we're gonna wrap it up for tonight. Just about. We've been on for 2
Ooh,
hours and 20
aha.
minutes. Yes, it's been quite a stream. Listen, Matt, I thank you. Thank you for coming on.
Oh,
I was,
mean, you know,
it was,
gotta, support the community and
well,
gotta take care of. I always say things backwards.
it was
And,
really, really, really appreciated.
have to hang out with my friend. You know,
You know,
it's always a pleasure. Hanging out with you. We get to talk about some crazy stuff.
well, yeah,
And
that's
it,
our bread and butter, crazy stuff. But I mean,
you know, and
I'm sorry that Russ and Michael and Buddy weren't able to join in, but I'm so glad that you were able to.
because
And
it
you're a
would have been
trooper.
even crazier with Russ and Michael.
Well,
'Cause
maybe next time.
we've been on Russ's channel with the four of us, and it's gone sideways.
That's the nice way of putting it. I mean, well, it was crochet after dark, but it wasn't like 80% cacao dark.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but listen, everybody, I want to thank all of you out there in YouTube land for joining us today. And Matt, want to thank you so much for,
Hey,
helping me.
it's always a pleasure. Anytime, just let me know, and I'd be happy to.
Well, I try to give as much notice as I can, and I do plan on having other people on here as well over time. Um, today it wasn't quite impromptu, but it was just sort of like no specific plan or agenda, just a little fun chit chat, and it's always
It's
a good
just fun to
time.
sit down and like talk about whatever
Stuff.
comes up.
Just have a nice conversation, and then have all of you in here with us. And Michael says, I'm sorry. Thank you all for coming out to enjoy our Craig and our Matt. Well, Michael, thank you for being in the chat. And maybe next time you could join us. I'm just
Well,
sorry you're not feeling
when
well.
everybody, I just happen to feel a lot better. Like what I had going on, I, you know, as soon as I got rid of that stone, I'm cool. I'm good to go. I'm back to normal. So I'm glad, I could come up and hang out. I know Michael and Russ are dealing with, other things, and our prayers go out to the both of them.
Hmm.
I hope hope they get better fast.
Well, they're both resilient boogers, just like
Yeah,
us. So, I'm sure that, we'll be the terrible foursome at some point.
and
And
everybody better watch out when that time comes, because that's
and
when stuff really comes out.
I mean, I figure, what I'm gonna try to do. is, like every other Friday, I would like to try to make it into a regular thing. I'm not promising, but that's what I'm aiming for, if that's a fair statement. Because if it's a Friday before a shift, like my early Saturday shift, that's not a good idea. But I figure, like every other Friday, on a Friday where I'm not working the next morning, then it's much more of a viable option. Thank you, Enid. And so it's what I'm aiming for. It's a form of content creation that I had fallen out of for years, and I'm trying. I'm making efforts. I'm making efforts. So I am trying to be more sociable, and now that I'm on StreamYard, now we can have peoples on, and it makes it, for me, it makes it a lot easier. Because
Yeah, StreamYard, I played with a couple of them, and stuff went sideways. And StreamYard, I think, is the best one that
well, what
you
I
know.
mean is doing a live stream solo, for me, it's very, 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 very anxiety inducing when you see the ticker tape of the comments flying by, and I'm like, I'm manning the ship by myself. But when I have a guest on, it makes it so much easier, and it's fun. So well, again, everybody, thank you so much.
Take
And
care, everybody.
you guys have a fabulous day, and thank you for all the birthday wishes. And Matt, hang on for a moment after we close out.
I will.
And listen, everybody, you have a great night. Thank you. Stay inspired, stay caffeinated, stay stitching, stay safe. Take care of yourselves and each other. And I will see you in the next video. Stay tuned for tomorrow's tutorial, because it's going to be a multi-part tutorial. It's going to be a bit of a crochet along. Thank you, and stitches. And you guys have a great night, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now, everybody, and have a
Take
great
care,
day.
everybody.
Bye.